Addict. Just take a moment of silence, and during that moment I'd ask you to invite the God of your understanding into the room while I invite mine, so maybe through the combined power we can have a Narcotics Anonymous message and not my own. Thank you. When Phil called me, I think I was unloading my truck at a dump where I get rid of material from the job that I do, and he had caught me in like a real weird time in my life because shit wasn't good. And I tend to always get those calls to do things like this, or someone I haven't seen in a while always tends to call me in a moment where stuff ain't so good and I might not be as connected as maybe I should be at that moment in time. And I believe that that's the God of my understanding working through you guys to help keep me right where I'm supposed to be. And it's an honor and privilege to be asked to do anything for Narcotics Anonymous. I, like some of the others that have shared, come from a place where, no one wanted me around, no one cared what I thought, no one wanted to hear my opinion of things. It was just stay away from him, he's bad news. So the topic, grow up or die, it was shared before me about, the old school, right? The sit down, shut up. I got clean in 2016, and I got that at the first men's meeting I ever went to in Squirrel Hill by Mickey Harvey and Billy M. I went into the meeting, man, with this girl I was dating, and her dad was in recovery, and her brother was in recovery, and they was you need to come check this out with us. So they took me down to men's meeting down there, and I remember sharing it I'm Nick. I don't really know if I'm an addict, and they got with me after the meeting, and they asked, they straight up, how much is dope out there right now? They had their wallets out, they were willing to give me the money to go get high, and they said, we will pray for you while you're out there, but please, run it till the wheels fall off, and when you're ready, come back, we'll save a seat, we'll have some coffee waiting for you, but if you come in here not knowing, and I don't think I'm an addict, you're gonna get real jammed up. And then they started asking me shit you got Hep C. I'm like, no. You ever been to the penitentiary? I'm like, no. They're like, it's waiting for you. We love you unconditionally without even knowing who you are, because whether you know it or not, we can see it inside of you. But just come when you're ready. You don't have to be here if you don't want to be here. And I don't say that to discourage anybody who might be a little confused. But by all means, please, welcome. You're in the right. If you identify with any of the shit that I say up here, you are in the right place. I mean, because I came to the meetings for a long time as ordered by my parole officer with one of the slips of paper, and I sat with my arms crossed in the back of the room, and I judged everybody, and I saw all the differences and none of the similarities, until one day some guy shared some stuff that just touched me in my spirit. It's damn, man, how the hell I thought I was the only one type stuff. And then I started to become a little bit curious about what was going on in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. And I did some of the stuff that I was told when it was convenient for me to do it. And I got a sponsor, and we worked steps, and I worked the parts of the steps that I wanted to work. And what I mean by that is steps are complicated. You know what I mean? I don't mean complicated like if you're not an intellectual, you can't understand. But I mean there's multiple facets of a step. It's not just as simple as one thing. There's a lot of different stuff in all the steps. So I would pick what I was willing to do out of step 1 and step 2 and step 3 and what I wanted to share in step 4. And what I found out was my first time clean, I did a real messed up step 4. And what I found out was that in step 1 that there was 2 surrenders. See, I thought it was just a 1. I'm done using drugs. I didn't do the second part of step 1 where it talks about I had to come to the realization that I could never use drugs again, no matter how good my life got, no matter what I attained through this recovery process. I just did the first part, and I left and went into step 4 with a reservation from step 1. And what that was I reserved the right to not share some shit that I didn't want to share with you guys. And I did a messed up step 4, which led to a messed up step 5, which led to lying about some shortcomings in 6. And it just spiraled out of control until with 2.5 years clean, I took the first one. And then I tried coming back to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and couldn't make it back, and then finally made it back. And then I wanted to come in with all these excuses as to why I got high. My parents got divorced, and it was the guys from the old school, if that's what you want to call them, that said, Nick, shut the fuck up, you got high because you wanted to get high. That's it. There ain't no like your mommy and daddy split up and like you didn't get the job you wanted. Like, bro, you got high because that's what you wanted to do. And they was absolutely right. I mean, that's for that grow up or die. And then, like, when I got the topic, I had to think about, like, you know, sometimes when I hear die, I automatically think of, like, lights out, it's over, dead. Man, listen, I've died multiple times through my process. Spiritually, emotionally, I felt physically dead. Like, you don't always got to be that. I'm telling you what, out of all, you know, we talk about them jails, institutions, and death, right? And for some reason, like we, you know, as a fellowship, we've become like, that's what we talk, the degradation. That's what it says in the literature. We don't say jails, institutions, degradation, and death, but the degradation is always what had me, that shell of a human being. That, like, I'd rather not be here than walk around just so empty and broken. Like, that's what drove me to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. Not the fear of dying, not the institutions. It was just that empty feeling, man. And like at the end of the road, I couldn't fill it with nothing. There wasn't enough dope. There wasn't enough crack. There wasn't enough women. I couldn't fill it no more. So like I began to like see guys like my sponsor and his sponsor and a lot of the guys down at Center Avenue, and I seen what they had going on, and I started to want these things, and I started to ask questions, and I started to do what I was told. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be a grown-up, man. There's this dude from Detroit that I heard speak at the one convention. I forget his name, but, you know, he had said something from the podium that, like, really, and what he said was that, like, it's dangerous to treat a man like a boy and even more dangerous to treat a boy like a man. And, like, when he said that to me, like, I started just thinking, like, man, I've been out here thinking that, like, because I'm doing all this shit that I think is grown-up shit, that I'm grown. And then, like, this woman at my home group, Robin, like, she sat there and explained to me that Nick, if you break the word grown-up up, what are the, what? I'm like, well, own is in. She said, you own anything? You got a house, you got a car, like, you got responsibilities? I'm like, no, you ain't a grown-up. Yeah, you 27, 28 years old, but you ain't no grown-up. And she was right, so I decided I want to be a grown-up. I want to do grown-up stuff. But I wanted to do it without even knowing what grown-up stuff is. Now I am doing grown-up stuff, and I really don't want to be a grown-up no more. I want to go back to the three-quarter house and smoke Newport cigarettes and go to 3 meetings a day and chase women and just be oblivious to all this stuff sometimes. Like, sometimes I want to get out of my car in traffic and just leave recovery in the passenger seat and punch him in the fucking head because he cut me off. But, like, something about this process has changed the part inside of me that won't allow me to do those things even on some days. That's exactly what I want to do. But I do have my days where I don't do what I'm supposed to do. And that's when the death starts creeping in. That's when my spirit starts to get sick. That's when I start making decisions that I can no longer like accept these type of things in my life no more. Then I start to just this vicious cycle of just I make a poor decision, I do something I'm not supposed to do, I go off the path, and then this vicious cycle of like, all right, I can't tell my sponsor I did that, I don't want to share it in me. Listen, I just went through a stretch, right, of like not going to meetings for a long time. And the reason for that being is one of the things that was instilled in me by members of this fellowship that have been here before me. And one of the common themes that I found in members with significant clean time, but not only that, recovery, is they share honestly. Regardless of what it is or what's going on or the guilt and shame attached to it, like that's what drew me to Narcotics Anonymous. That's what drew me to the predecessor who has some recovery, is their ability to share honestly. I mean, I'm talking about, I heard some shit in the room. Like, God damn, he said that out loud in front of all these people. They explained to me that's where the freedom is. It's like being able to expose some of this stuff and not having to feel alone no more. So like I got myself into a situation in a relationship, right, where I don't want to share about it in the rooms. And I knew that I couldn't come to the rooms and not share because they just didn't build me like that in Narcotics Anonymous. So like, fuck it, I just ain't going to go to meetings. If I don't go to meetings, I don't got to share about it honestly. And like I started dying, man. I'm down the casino. I'm buying all kinds of shit I don't need. I'm just chasing. You know what I mean? Until finally, man, eventually I just hit a breakthrough. Because like there's certain things that I don't stop doing. You know, I love coming to the meetings. I wish I had more time today to come to the meetings like I did when I was in the 3/4 hours. But the fact of the matter is, like, Narcotics Anonymous has given me the opportunity to have a life today, a life that's full of responsibilities and blessings. Sometimes I'll take those blessings that God has given me and use them as excuses and turn them into burdens as to why I can't do certain things that I'm supposed to be doing. You know, the meeting makers make it things. You know, the gentleman before me was talking about, you know, that you come to the meeting, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, what are you really doing? So, like, you know, I stay connected, though. My meeting attendance might drop to where maybe I think it should be a little more, but, like, I'm always connected. I pray on a regular basis. I won't tell you every day. That'd be a lie. There's days that I get caught up, I forget. I talk to my sponsor regularly. I work with guys that are in recovery. We talk about this stuff, man. This is a part of my life. Like, I'm not under any delusion today. Like, I know that everything that I have today in my life is a direct result of being a member of this fellowship and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and being told what I'm supposed to, you know, being told to do and doing what I'm told to do. I mean, I found out that willingness only applies when it's some shit I don't want to do. When it's what I want to do, that's just what it is. What I want to do. There's no willingness involved in what I want to do. It's just what I want to do. You know, that was like my thing when I first got here, and I didn't know too much, and I was real new. I was just like, well, I basically just have to do everything I don't want to do, and like I'll be all right. And it worked for me. It worked. It started working. And then what happened was, it's like through coming to this program, and my sponsor allowing me to bump my head along the way, he allowed me. See, I had to stay clean on the strength of your experience for a long time. I just had to have blind faith that, like, all right, I heard this dude on the north side went through this and he stayed clean. I heard this dude in the hill did this and he stayed clean. I heard this guy out in Greensburg did some shit like that and he stayed clean. Like, it was just blind faith. Like, all right, I don't got to use no matter what. All these people all over the place are staying clean, going through some messed up stuff. But then I started going through some messed up stuff and making some poor decisions. My sponsor didn't tell me what to do. I mean, he guided me. He gave me suggestions and he allowed me to have. Now I have my own experience that this thing works. I mean, and then I share about my experiences with the newcomer behind me so that maybe he can stay clean, all blind faith. It's like, damn, Nick done some messed up stuff. He stayed clean. And like, that's what we do. We continue to gain our own experiences in the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, but I've been like real jammed up for a little while over this relationship. It's crazy. Like, I'm living at my dad's house, Phil. I done moved out of my dad's house. And I'm still paying all the bills at her house. Her mortgage, her electric bill, her light bill, her kids' baseball, clothes shopping. I mean, I'm paying everything over at her house. Because she's in nursing school. And she ain't got a job. And they going to take the house if I don't keep paying. So I'm like sleeping in my brother's room at my dad's house. I own a business, right? And I'm paying all the bills at her house. And I just can't get away. I can. I just don't want to. You know why? Because the shit's fire. That's why. Period. That's it. Best shit I've ever had in my life, dude. Listen, they told me a long time ago out in Buffalo, New York, that a good piece of pussy have you change your address. I moved from the city of Pittsburgh, right? I'm down on the south side of Pittsburgh, Pie Street, right off 18th. I mean, in the mix. It's great. I love it, right? I'm in the boon. I'm in Guffey, in Irwin. I drive through fields sometimes on my way home from work. Change my whole address. See, all this shit sounds cute, sounds funny, sounds cliche. But test it and watch how true it is. For real. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I stood up at the podium and made a mess of my life, have to share about it. But there's something that happens. Like, I found different levels. There's a certain level of freedom that I experience when I share with my sponsor what's going on with me. Then I take that level of freedom and I want to be just a little bit more free. So I find the courage to share it in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Right. And then what I found for me is that when I get the opportunity to stand at a podium, especially in front of a bunch of men at a men's recovery conference and share about what's going on with me, that's when I no longer have to be afraid no more. That's when I no longer have to struggle no more. I can finally surrender to this stuff. I'm going to her house after this conference. I'm not going to lie about what I'm doing. I haven't spent the night, though, if that means anything. Winston back there is at my house every morning at 6:30 for work. Now, I could be driving back to my dad's at like 5:30 in the morning, but I promise you, Winston, I ain't spent the night over there. But what's hard is like I got this empathy and compassion because of the rooms in Narcotics Anonymous, and like I see a lot of stuff in her that I see in me before I got to this program. And although she might not smoke crack, shoot dope, or anything else, what Narcotics Anonymous has given me is the ability to see this disease in all shapes and sizes, how they act out in all different areas of different people's lives. So sometimes I allow this empathy and compassion I have for her and what she's going through to become an excuse for her treating me the way that I shouldn't be treated. It's crazy. Stay, get a sponsor, work some steps. Shit starts getting real deep. You know what I mean? And then we go into the relationship I have with her son. Her son is 15 years old. His dad died of a direct result of his disease when he was 4, right? He come to Narcotics Anonymous meetings with me. Like, he come to the first meeting. I took him to a meeting when he was smoking the weed. He got his white key tag down at the heroin meeting. He's hugging people. He's getting numbers. He's like 14 years old at the time. He don't want to come to meetings with me no more. But on 30 days, he said, "Can you take me to a meeting so I get that key tag?" I said, "Yeah, sure." When he had 60 days, yeah, sure. 90 days, 9 months though. I mean, we're talking about no steps. We're talking about a 14-year-old kid, man. I didn't expect him to come in here and get a sponsor, start working steps. I just wanted him to see what we was about in case later on in life he found himself in a crack house. He was no longer smoking weed. He was smoking crack. But he wanted to get them key tags. But because of the no step work and the no sponsor and everything else, he resorted back to using. You know, I mean, he resorted back to the weed. He don't just smoke a couple joints. I mean, this kid's reckless. He's definitely one of us. I see it in him. And it gets even deeper than that, because through some step work, like what I started to see was that Katie, my significant other, treats him the same way my mom treated me. So me and Ryan started to form this bond with each other through not only our difficulty with substances, but like that feeling of like my mom really don't care about me. So like when me and her finally split, I could do this in 5. So when we finally split, right, she done filed a PFA on me. Put him on it. I'm in fear for my kid's safety, my mom. I got to go waste my time down the court. I'm sitting with all these guys, and some of them I'm like, "You definitely beating the shit out of your old lady." You know what I mean? Like, I could just tell, trying not to judge, but I mean, your knuckles are still bruised, man. You know what I mean? And I've shared about putting my hands on Katie. You're absolutely right, I have. I've gotten frustrated. I'm not proud of it. I'm still ashamed of it. I ain't acted on that in a long time now. But she sometimes would get me so frustrated. I mean, I'm talking about I just handed her $4,000 cash for the bills, and she wanted to just start acting crazy. Yeah, I've grabbed her by the arms and thrown her on the bed and screamed, "What the fuck wrong with you?" It ain't right to do that, though. I understand that. And then I got to go talk to Ryan, because like I remember being in the basement when my mom and dad was yelling upstairs, and I knew what was going on. So every time I act a fool upstairs, I got to go downstairs and talk to him. Sorry you had to hear that. This is what's going on. This is where I was wrong, man. Because Narcotics Anonymous is giving me the ability today to see where I'm wrong. And to go back and make an amends for it. Or to do something different next time. I mean, I don't want to die. It's not, and I don't say this trying to be like some hard ass, you know what I mean? It ain't like the actual death lights out, it's over that scares me. I got a good relationship with the God of my understanding. When the time comes for that day, it's going to come. What I'm afraid of is walking around like that shell of a human being again. Yeah, man, and if you're here and you're one of us, man, then I know you know exactly what that feeling feels like. I'm talking about just fucking empty. I'm talking about just hit a lick and got enough to get high for the next 3 days, and it don't matter. Still hate yourself. Still look in the mirror just disgusted with what's looking back at you. I can't ever live like that again, man. Narcotics Anonymous has given me the opportunity that I don't ever have to live like that again. But best believe when I slack off on my set work, they talk about in the literature this is a contact process. When I start losing contact with other members, my sponsor, the God of my understanding, that death, I can feel it moving in. You know what I mean? It was truly an honor and a privilege to be asked to come down here and share with you guys today. I really needed to be here. I really needed to see some of you guys like Orlando, Ian, Phil. You know what I mean? I'm under no delusion that I cannot do this without you guys, man. Thanks for letting me share.
All right.